Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we bring you the latest and most exciting sports news every single day. Tonight, we turn our attention to one of the most tantalizing names in edge rusher circles, the All-Pro sack artist Trey Hendrickson. He's the one name still floating in free agency limbo after a blockbuster postseason performance with the Cincinnati Bengals, and insiders are buzzing that Detroit could be plotting a seismic move to land him. But before we jump to any conclusions, let's set the stage. The 2025 NFL offseason has already panned out roughly as many predicted. Marquee pass rushers re-signed or were traded. Big-ticket free agents found new homes, and the landscape shifted dramatically. Max Crosby inked a staggering deal north of $35 million per year. Myles Garrett secured $40 million annually, and Zadarius Smith, though linked to Detroit, ultimately stayed put elsewhere. With those splashes made, any hope the Lions would land an elite veteran edge rusher seemed to vanish into thin air. And yet, one name remains in play. Trey Hendrickson, fresh off back-to-back 17.5 sack campaigns, is still unsigned, still seeking that mega extension that would solidify his place among the league's highest-paid defenders. He earned Pro Bowl honors in each of the last 2 seasons, piled up a staggering 83 pressures in 2024, best among all edge rushers according to Pro Football Focus, and earned his first All-Pro nod alongside a close runner-up finish in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Simply put, there is no better dovetail of production, proven playoff mettle, and age. He's just entering his prime at 30. That pedigree has made Hendrickson the focus of endless trade chatter. In a recent post-draft column for Bleacher Report, veteran insider Christopher Knox named Detroit among the handful of teams who should be exploring a deal for Hendrickson before training camp. The appeal is obvious. Detroit's defense features an ascending young star in Aiden Hutchinson, but opposing offenses still find ways to neutralize the Lions' pass rush in critical moments. Imagine pairing Hutchinson's relentless motor with Hendrickson's refined arsenal, bull rush, counter swipes, and explosive first step, and watching opposing quarterbacks flinch at the roar of Ford Field. Of course, dreams don't come cheap. Hendrickson carries a $21 million cap hit next season, with $18.7 million in dead money protection. He's looking for an extension that pushes him toward Crosby and Garrett territory, somewhere in the mid to high $30 million annual mark. Even with Detroit sitting near the top of the salary cap space list, finding that kind of room for one non-quarterback is a Herculean task. The front office would have to clear space, likely by moving on from a veteran lineman, cutting bait, on a mid-tier wide receiver, or restructuring the deal of one of their own core defenders. Yet, if the Lions are truly committed to finishing the job in 2025, as Coach Dan Campbell has vowed, they may view that financial gymnastics as a necessary risk. The NFC North is wide open, and a top-flight edge rusher could be the difference between a one-and-done exit and a deep playoff run. Could Detroit pull off a blockbuster midsummer trade, perhaps packaging next year's first-round pick plus a key role player to pry Hendrickson away from Cincinnati? The Bengals, flush with cap space and hungry for draft capital, might actually listen, especially if they believe they can replace him with one of their own rushing talents. Add to that the internal whispers that Hendrickson is intrigued by the Lions culture. He's played for teams in Miami, New Orleans, and Cincinnati that valued grit and chemistry, and you have a tantalizing what-if scenario. Sources tell us that Hendrickson's camp has kept doors slightly ajar for trade calls, even as they continue to feel out extension offers. And on draft night, Detroit's war room reportedly had a flyer sheet ready, just in case any twist of fate made such a deal feasible. Here's the rub. If Hendrickson truly represents the missing piece to a Super Bowl blueprint, Detroit will need to be bold and quick. As the clock ticks toward training camp, teams will finalize rosters, solidify backfields, and set their defensive charts in stone. If Detroit waits too long, they risk missing the window entirely, resigning themselves to another season of almost but not quite on defense. So far, there's been no official word from the Lions front office. General Manager Brad Holmes has remained tight-lipped, offering only the standard refrain that he likes his group and will explore every avenue to improve. But behind closed doors, league executives believe Detroit is quietly mulling all options. Should they pull the trigger, the ripple effect would echo across the NFL, reworking draft board values, cap forecasts, and the very identity of Detroit's defense. Could this be the franchise-defining move the Lions need? Or is it simply wishful thinking by fans starved for that elite pass rusher? One thing is certain. Trey Hendrickson's name will hang heavy over Ford Field all summer. A potent "what next?" until we know whether the pursuit becomes a reality. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update on this and every hot story surrounding the Detroit Lions. If you're as intrigued as we are, drop a like below and tell us in the comments, would you trade a second-round pick and a veteran rotation player for Trey Hendrickson? Or should the Lions stick to developing their young edge rushers? Now, let's pick up where we left off and explore how this could all come together, or fall apart, as Detroit races toward training camp readiness. Assuming the Lions decide to pull the trigger, the clock is ticking. By June 1st, any trade would need to be finalized to maximize cap savings. That date looms large because if Hendrickson's $18.7 million cap hit carries over into July, it would force Detroit to make additional roster cuts or restructures just to free up space. Sources indicate that Brad Holmes has quietly contacted Cincinnati's front office to gauge openness to a pick-plus veteran package. But the Bengals, with their own defensive ambitions, may hold firm, demanding premium draft capital in return. Still, not all paths are smooth. What if Hendrickson's extension talks with the Bengals drag into July? Or if another contender, say Baltimore or Houston, makes a late bid to swing the market? Besides cap ramifications, Detroit must guard against losing Manning his negotiating leverage. And imagine the fan speculation if the paperwork drags on. Social media spinners debating Hendrickson to the Lions, yes or no. Local radio hosts spinning their wheels for content. Pressure from fans and media could become a storm even before Hendrickson sets foot in training camp. And for Campbell, it's validation. After publicly declaring, "We need more teeth on this line," he'd have the weaponry to back up that statement. His attack-first philosophy, once viewed as emotionally driven, becomes synonymous with tangible results. Turnovers created, quarterback pressures, field-flipping blitzes. The addition of Hendrickson elevates the entire unit, forcing opposing coordinators to scheme away from the Lions' edge game, opening lanes for linebackers to roam free and safeties to make splash plays. So, after weighing the financial gymnastics, roster shuffles, scheme fits, and cultural nuances, the question remains: will the Detroit Lions dare to dream big and secure Trey Hendrickson? Or will they opt for the safe route, trusting their internal talent pipeline? Let us know which path you believe Detroit should take and why in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive on possibly the most tantalizing free agent prospect left unclaimed, Trey Hendrickson. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Lions News Fan Report, and turn on alerts for every off-season shakeup. Until next time, Lion up.